Ah, that's super frustrating. Yeah, back at it again, Mr. Totem. I guess again with another Veterano's Corner, but this one's a bit of an update about what I've been up to for like the last 2.5 weeks or so. You know, this has been a long time coming for me, all right? Now, why is because, you know, I've been doing 3D graffiti for, man, you know, a solid 30 years of just straight up 3D graph, you know, out of my 36 years of painting. And, you know, all that time that I had spent doing the 3D graffiti, I never learned how to do 3D computer, like a computer 3D modeling. I guess that's what they call it, right? Hell, I'm just learning all of this. And it's funny how things kind of work out, because the way my mind works is I think in 3D at all times. Like, I have a really good sense of distance, space, you know, perspective, those kind of things like that, for some weird reason, comes natural to me. And, you know, there are people who it comes very natural to. Maybe they have a little bit more of an engineering mind, and, you know, I don't have an engineering degree. I don't have anything like that. My father was an engineer, and I think I have something deep down inside that that makes a lot of sense while trying to unpack what most of this is all about in my mind, why I'm able to understand it. Now, over the years, I've had friends and, you know, been a part of different industries where I could have learned how to do 3D modeling, using the computer and getting involved with software and all this kind of stuff, and I never did. I just didn't see the value of it. Maybe me being a little bit myopic, I probably could have learned a lot of things earlier because of my early access to it. I mean, we're talking like, what, 99, 2000, you know, 2001. I had a few friends that were in the industry and stuff like that, and I could have learned under them because they wanted me to do it. I was already doing 3D graffiti at that time, and they said, "Man, you really need to get into it." But, you know, I'm a hard-headed guy, and I didn't take advantage of it then. But guess what? Now I am. You know, when I had first started out, the graffiti world that I was thrown into, I didn't want to do 3D graffiti. I actually was in a crew that the other two members had chosen sections of the graph medium that they felt, you know, and they're my big homies, that they felt like I'm gonna play this part and you'll play this part, and the youngster, which was me at the time. So it was my homeboy Noah and my homeboy Angel. Angel was incredibly good at characters, and my homeboy Noah was incredibly good at letters, you know, flat style letters, 2D letters. And when I had came around, they had saw some of my, you know, black book stuff, and Noah was like, "Dude, you're gonna do 3D." I'm like, I don't even know what 3D is at that time. You know, he said, no, you need to look at, there's these guys, like, you know, there's this guy Dime and this guy, it wasn't Lumit, but Lumit eventually came in there. You know, this dude Gore and all that. Like, look at how these guys look, right? And when he showed it to me, I understood it, but I didn't necessarily like it. Like, I'm like, it's cool, but I want to do what you're doing. I like characters, and I like flat letters. They're like, really, I only liked simple letters too. I didn't really like technical wild styles. I just wanted to do like almost like hooked up straights. No, you're gonna do 3D. Great, I'm gonna do it. Are you gonna show me? Well, they didn't know how to do 3D graffiti. They didn't really know. They used character execution for the technique of painting 3D graffiti. They didn't understand light sources really. They didn't understand, a lot of things. So a lot of my very beginning graffiti work, and I still, use it this way, is where it's almost like an illustrator's approach to 3D. So it's not purely about where the light sources are. If anything, it's about where the darks are, And so I never really felt the kinship to Dime per se. Those guys, they painted, it looks ultra realistic. Mine is more of like a illustrator realism. You know what I mean? So so the reason why I bring that up is I never felt like I have to have it exactly like what the light says and, basically what the math says, other than the sacred math of beautiful letters. I felt like the only thing I really need to do is make it a fresh piece, okay? And I can change the rules a little bit when it came to light sources and shadows and stuff like that at that time. So how I say all that to basically come to this point, right, is that I finally picked up a reason to model in 3D using 3D programs. When I was younger, I made a 3D before, like an actual real sculpture I made. And now at that time, that was made out of foam core. And that was pretty cool. Like, it was during the time when I was doing my shark style. And that was really cool, but that was my first attempt on doing like a gigantic, a real thing. But I always wanted to make, I had already made my wing style about that point after the shark style, the mechanical battle seraph style. And I always wanted to make it into like a toy size, like a figure size, like a Gundam. And I realized the only way that I was ever going to be able to do that was to somehow get into 3D modeling. My first attempt was this 3D program called Lightwave. And my old friend Leon, who was in the industry, he tried to show me, and I just couldn't get it in. I couldn't get into it, y'all. There's something about the way that the viewing is on how the tools work. The actual viewing and spinning it around and trying to like figure out how things work, it's really difficult. I couldn't understand it. It was like, if I could see it like this with my head and my hands, I understood it. And secondly, I tried again. I failed. And then I tried again with another program called Maya. And I tried Maya for a little while and the same result. I just couldn't, I couldn't adhere to the way that the tools worked. So fast forward to the year 2025. Here we are. And I had started learning a few other new programs, and it was mostly to make these videos for you guys to watch, or like these little mini shorts that I put on Instagram and stuff like that for my car channel. Make sure you check out my car channel at blackcloudbattalion. And on those channels, I have a collector, a guy who's a collector of my pieces. One day, he had expressed to me that he was, doing 3D printing. And I was like, wow, 3D printing. And a few years back, he had tried to do some 3D modeling, and he was, kind of new at it himself, but he tried to model my piece. So when I saw him recently, it said, yeah, man, I'm doing 3D printing. And I instantly thought of that 3D model that he had started of my piece. He only got, you know, a short way because I had to sit there and draw it in 3D for him to figure it out. And, you know, he tried his best, but nothing is like the person who actually drew it to make it make sense. So I had realized at that time, like, this ain't gonna happen unless I actually sit there and try to figure this out. So my partner here at Black Cloud, my homeboy Villain, he does the 3D printing. We have a 3D printer. He does the 3D printing for our taillights, and I asked him, I said, man, what program do you use? And he's like, I use this thing called Fusion 360. Fusion 360 is not really an artist program. It's more for people who are trying to make, you know, parts, or it's very good for making, practical parts, you know what I'm saying? Like, like a door handle or, a tail light housing. It's not necessarily something that you should use as a artistic approach when there are other programs out there, which I've learned up to this point. Like, I didn't learn how to use them yet, but I'm aware of them, like Blender and all these kind of things like that, right? So when I started with this here, Fusion 360, man, again, it was like the Maya and Lightwave times. I had a really, really hard time learning, man, y'all. The tools and like understanding the functionality, it's completely alien compared to like the things I know about, like Photoshop, Illustrator. It ain't like an Adobe product. It's not like, it's not like an artist program. It's really not meant for that, in my opinion. What it is meant for is, what can I do with what I got? So I started trying. I forced myself, okay? Well, what do you mean by force yourself? See, even though the tools and the fixed views, the viewing of it is difficult, I said, I'm gonna force myself. I need this. I have a reason to do this. My friend who's doing the 3D printing, not even just mine, but my friend Maker at Maker Makes is, he's interested in, like, man, we got to figure out how to make one of your pieces, man. Okay. So I had to stop being a bitch. You know what I'm saying? I had to really try to man up. And, at my age, it's real difficult to do things that are new, that might not necessarily be something that this old horse could pick up quickly. So what I did was, I spent my first days. So I've been at it for 2 weeks, and I'm going on my third week now, right? Every day. 14 hours. 14 hours I sit in front of that and try to force myself to figure out all the different tools and stuff like that. And that's what I did. So I sat there, started with a real basic understanding of how the tools worked. I did a little bit of YouTubing and see what kind of tutorials there are out there that could teach me some of the basics on how to figure it out. There's one guy on here. I forgot his name. I'll put the link. I'll put his name flash up on the screen right now. And that guy had one tutorial about how to make this little wooden box, this little box with a handle. And I followed his instructions, and during that process, I figured it out, man. I figured it out. So here's a little bit of what it looks like that I was doing, okay? So I had made that box, and then I had started making other pieces. I said, okay, the box thing is all right. Let me start trying to make, well, okay, what is this? Oh, this can hollow this out. You know what? Let me learn the drawing tool. There's like a line tool. When I started using the line tool, then I started to realize, oh, if I use this, I can draw a basic, let's do what everyone else is doing, right? Let me draw a letter, and you can extrude. I found out what extrude meant. Okay, I extrude this, and found out what, bevels and chamfers are and all this kind of stuff. I said, oh, okay. Some of these tools I kind of understand already. Let me see if I can implement it on this basic design here. And if it comes out right, I think I'm in the game. So yeah, this is what happened. So there it is. So hopefully you got something out of this. I just wanted to share my journey a little bit. And, go ahead and try it yourself. Fusion 360, they got a little free tryout one and stuff like that. It's pretty good. Go ahead and use that. Maybe, you may find out that you could be an old dog and learn new tricks like this guy did. And, hey, expand your horizons, kids. You understand? If an old guy like me can do it, you can too. All right? And the more of these I make, I'm going to start sharing it with y'all because I fully intend to release my letter mechs out there as a toy and a statue or figurine. I don't know what the hell you call them. But they'll be out there and, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, keep following me for more, all right? Do the like, subscribe, all that bullshit, all right? Take care, all right? Peace. Mr. Totem out.